All right, everybody. Well, it is a super exciting time tonight. This is our first Health Coach Huddle of 2018. The first meeting of every month. We get together with the Alex's team, Diane, Daniela, Kim, the whole gang over there, Mary, and then we bring everybody together to celebrate the new folks that have joined us, the growth that's happened in our team, some exciting announcements, and really just taking a minute and reflecting on the privilege we have to coach people. You know, this is nobody coaches because they have to. We coach because we want to, and it's really a privilege to be able to do that. So tonight we've got some recognitions of some new people that have joined us, some coaches that have joined us that have brought on their first client. We have a new executive director. We've got another coach that hit a new frontline volume record. And so we've got a lot of things here that we're going to actually get into today. So I'm going to if you guys have one of the challenges, I just spoke with Terry Miller and I said, with the new back office, how do you find people that ranked up? And she said, we don't have that report yet. They are crafting it now. So it's difficult to see everything that happened unless I was personally involved with it. And so if you have a highlight, something that you were working for, could have been a rank, could have been a certain amount of clients, could have been a client that hit a milestone. Maybe you hit a milestone in your journey. Maybe you did your first Facebook Live. Whatever that is, we're celebrating things that we did that were achievements in the month of December. And so if you guys have something, I would like you to raise your hand. We've got quite a few people that I know, but if you have something and you can raise your Zoom hand. Basically, the way you do that is you go down to participants. If you're on a computer, at the bottom of the screen under participants, and then you click on raise hand. And if you're on a phone, you would click the screen, and then you would go, I believe it's to more, and then you'll see a thing that says raise hand, or you can just do that too. And I'll figure that one out. But I wanted to start off with Dawn. You have some people on your team I know that had some exciting things that happened. And even if they're not here, you could mention that. If they are here, then we'll be able to celebrate them. So why don't you take it away, Dawn Carpenter.
All right. Well, good evening, everybody. Well, I'm pretty excited. We've got two newer coaches on our team. Jim and Mary, the Jim and Mary team, and the Tamara team. And both of them are coaching their first clients and seeing some awesome success. So that's pretty exciting. So that's happening on our team.
You guys.
And I also, yeah, super exciting.
You're no longer potential coaches, you're actual coaches because you're actually coaching somebody. Great job.
Yeah.
Yep.
Very exciting.
What else? I think you had something, right, Dawn? You had a milestone. How many years have you been coaching, Dawn Kelly?
It's been about 4.5, getting close to April. It'll be 5.
5 years.
So
okay.
Yeah, moving up. This month, we hit our highest frontline volume this month. We almost, just a hair under 10,000. So that was very, very exciting for us because, I can remember well, this summer, having a little meeting with you and Troy, little mentorship meeting, and Troy saying, you can do this, Dawn. And I was thinking, oh no, I don't know. That's a big number. So that was exciting.
Yeah. Yeah. 10,000, if you take 10,000 and you divide that by 350, anybody got a calculator? What is that number? That's how many people lives that were affected by your commitment to doing this.
What is that, like 32?
28
5.
28 and a half people, right? I don't know how you get the half one in there, but yeah, think about that. Let's just say that's 29 people. Each person has this value there. And so 29 people's lives. Think about that.
The half is because they're coaching a pregnant mom.
Yeah, there you go. There's the half. Yeah, that's good. Think about that. When you think about $10,000 in frontline volume, that's like $10,000. That's just under 30 people, not 500 people, right? And $10,000 in frontline volume, you make about 33% of that. So you're about $3,500 on that, right? It's not chump change, right? It's pretty cool stuff. The other nice thing, advantage of being part of the 10,000 club is that you have a lot of people that you're working with. And so if you have 30 coaches, 1 out of every 5 is a potential coach. And so she's got, 5 to 7 people in there that have some potential to coach. So anyway, $10,000 also, I know when you hit the end of the month, you weren't concerned about your minimum of 6,000 at executive, were you? And I'd like to actually have you talk about that. When you're not running minimums, how does that change the way you interact with people during the month, Dawn?
That's been a big change. The last couple months, I feel like I've felt like I'm there. And I feel like it just gives me an extra, I don't know, I don't want this to sound the wrong way, but almost kind of an air of confidence in that I don't have to be desperate. I don't have to talk anybody into anything. I can just really be who I am and just really present what I have and just really totally 100% be okay with whatever they decide and whatever their timing is. Mm-hmm. And so it kind of, it's really nice in that I feel like it takes my feelings out of the equation and lets me really focus on the other person more because I don't have that other thing I'm thinking of.
Terry says it's a wonderful thing to not have to need anybody, that you can just go to just show up. And so it's a nice thing. And in the beginnings, there's still some needing that happens and you manage that, but there is a nice shift that happens when that changes. So awesome. Well, congratulations on all the fun stuff that's happening. And I will say in a very, very kind way, I told you so. Right?
Okay.
You were going to be good at this. And when you quit your job, it was just going to get better. And look at you guys. Grow.
Yes.
Awesome. So another thing, I know some people, I know Cora, you shot me a text today saying, I brought my first client on within the first few days, and you just talked about this idea and this feeling of momentum. Would you want to just kind of share a little bit about your excitement level and that text you sent me?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, surprisingly enough, January's never been a huge month for me. I think maybe 2 years ago I signed up one person in January, but usually it's like, no, nothing. So to have January 2nd, my first client come on for the year, that was like so exciting. Like just made me feel like this is going to be a good year. Like it's just going to keep going. And I think a lot of that was from some of the stuff that we did in December, that was quote unquote for the December dash, but now it's paying off because now people are ready. And And so that's been really fun. And then it also just kept me really busy today because it made me realize like, oh, like all those emails that I like send out to people have all my old TSFL links and wording and photos. So I've been updating all of those things to all the new Optavia stuff and really realize like, oh, the new versions of all these things, like the dining out guide and the condiment list and all this, like they're way better with the Optavia version. So I want to take a closer look, but I didn't even realize that there were the Optavia versions and how great they are. And so it just feels good to be really busy with the business too. And I think the momentum even of just like, okay, I'm spending a lot of time tweaking these things, and it just feels like my business is taking off again, which is good because I kind of had a little lull after my son was born, so it feels like I'm getting back into things again.
And then a nice thing is you have a coach that you're working with that's interested in growing, and she's senior coach, and so it's a really neat thing when you guys, something is called thank you, Cora, by the way. We're going to be talking a little bit about ranks here and how to build towards what we call an executive director. And an executive director is someone that has 5 points. And you can get a point in 2 ways. You get a point for $1,200 in frontline volume. So $1,200 is a point. If you have a coach that has 5 clients, that's called a senior coach. That's a point. So you can develop an executive director business, which is where you get all the benefits. When you hit executive director, you get paid the most in commissions, you get leads, you get a bunch of different things. And so you can be executive director with 5 points. And let's say you have 4,800 in frontline volume and 1 senior coach. So you take 4,800, divide it by 1,200, that's 4. And then you have a senior coach, which is 1, that makes 5. What if you have 2 senior coaches? Well, now you need, 3,600 in frontline volume? So getting to executive director with they call the blended path. You build your first 5 or 10 clients, and out of those first 10 clients, there'll be 2 coaches in there. So you have to know what to look for because they're there, but it's almost like you don't know what gold looks like, and you're just dealing with all these shiny rocks, right? Well, there's gold in there. You just have to know what you're looking for. And so you will find that there are about 1 in 5 people have a desire to coach if you know what to look for. And so as you start to develop 10 clients, 2 coaches, well, 10 clients, if you take I could do the math, but you can just figure it out. For every 1,200 in frontline volume is a point. And so you can get to executive director with the blended path. That is how Doug Wood built an amazing organization, right? It's helping people go ED with the blended path. Now here's another, this is another thing. FIBC, you've probably heard that, fully integrated business coach. That means that you have 6,000 in frontline volume, which if you take 6,000 divided by 1,200, it's 5. And you have 5 senior coaches, which is also 5 points. So now you're an executive director with a backup. You're there with coaches and you're there with volume. So you become very, very stable. And the income for FIBC is somewhere between $5,000 and $6,000, $7,000. So it's a pretty good business, and it's solid. Now, one of the primary goals to build something crazy is to build 5 FIBCs. That's called integrated global. And does anybody know what the average income is for an integrated global? Hi, Ben. I saw that kiss coming right in. Does anybody have an idea what the average income for an integrated global is? No? It's $54,000 per month. Yeah, that's what I said. Ooh, that's a lot of money. So that just means you help someone go ED, 5 senior coaches, and about 18 clients. And you help 5 of those people do that, and your life changes in powerful ways. Then you help them do the same thing, and now have amazing, lots and lots of people getting healthy, and you being able to do a lot of things, meet a lot of needs, and help other people with their needs too. So we're going to talk a little bit about one of the folks that you know and love. Everybody talks about this guy. His smile lights up the room, and he has. Well, I was talking. This is Irving I'm talking about, and Irving and I talked in November, December, and he said he had a goal to be an executive director in April. And I said, okay. And why don't you kind of share with the folks a little bit about that conversation that we had, Irv?
So yeah, there was I kind of getting not real familiar with the whole program because it's new to me, and so the executive director just seemed like it was so far away, and it was kind of looked like it would be very tough to attain, and so I figured April to June would be a fair time frame to be able to get everything in place to what it would take to be an executive director. Mm-hmm. And it ended up being a really unusual December. It was just things kind of came into place from November, and some weird things started happening. Like last Sunday, 5 people called me and wanted to enroll. It was just pretty unusual, I guess.
Yeah. Well, pretty unusual, but so some of you guys have seen Irv because hasn't been hiding. He's been very visible on Facebook. He's been adding people into our client support page. He's been living his life out loud. One of the things that I did with Irving is I said, here's one of the best ways to make a big impact on people is to utilize the power of social media. It's kind of a 10x factor. You can connect with so many more people and people that you don't know. You can connect with the friends of people that you know, and you don't know their friends, and their friends' friends. And so if you're going to build your business just by going to events or going to church or going to your job or doing those kinds of things, you do have people in those areas, but it's a small section of people that you can make an impression upon. And so I gave Irv a task to watch some of these videos that are available for everybody and start taking some actions. And so tell me a little bit about kind of, you had some strategies to some things you wanted to do, and some, you were living your own personal journey out there. And talk a little bit about some of the strategies you used, and specifically some of the things your focus on Facebook, and then we'll talk about some of the other things.
Okay. Well, I mean, as far as, I guess before I go into anything, you got to take a lot of credit for it because of the fact that you have to take a lot of credit because there was a lot of time spent with you strategizing. I remember my first Facebook Live, you and I spoke before I did it. I was pretty scared. I mean, I'm here, I'm not a big public person. As a matter of fact, people think I'm an extrovert. I'm pretty much an introvert. And when you tie that to, my history of the military and some of the things that I've dealt with, it takes a lot of courage. I won't say courage. It took listening to you to say, that I've got to find a way to find that commonality with my audience. Who is it that I want to touch out there? So, you know, you and I spent a lot of time talking, and you know, a lot of folks are dealing with some things that I have experienced. So on my first Facebook Live, I guess I must have hit some strings with some folks that are sitting on the sidelines and watching, and just as much good came out of it. There was some rough things that you and I spoke about, because I received some feedback from some people that wasn't exactly good to taste. It was. I got some horrible feedback from some people too. But after talking to you, I mean, it reinforced and strengthened me to my second Facebook Live wasn't so bad, and then it came to where it was like, okay, but I think that going to you and talking through some of these things, and you gave me some tough feedback too. I mean, I had to listen to some things that you said. I'll be honest with you, I may not have wanted to hear, but out of respect, I had to listen and self-reflect and just do what you said, right? And so with that, it was, I respected your feedback, and it came out the right way as far as how to put together, you know, posts that would communicate to these same people, and they responded to it. You know, I think it took a lot to be able to talk about things like post-traumatic stress, and talk about depression, and talk about some of the real sensitive things that I dealt with. But then I realized that there's a lot more people out there dealing with those sensitive things that is keeping them from looking in the mirror at themselves, and forcing them to hide from themselves. And those people are the ones now trying to kick the door in to get on the program. And so it's not hard anymore, because now it's out there. And you know, for every one person that has something negative to say and curses me out in the middle of a Facebook forum, which happened, and I think you saw it.
Yeah.
There's 100 out there that want to talk to me, and instead of doing it in a public forum, they inbox me, and you know, and so I have no regrets about that. But the one thing that I don't have any regrets about, the one biggest regret I have is not kicking your door in more often. Hey Craig, can you talk? Calling you, thinking that you're too busy to talk. Maybe the results would have been even better had I did that. So that was a big lesson learned.
It was just on. I don't know. It was Friday. Maybe it was Friday. And I just call Herb once in a while, because I hear Terry say, you should, you know, the people that are running, you should probably talk to them about once a day. People that are going kind of slower, maybe once a week, twice a week. But I knew Herb was running, and so I would call him, and I said, hey, and I just call him out of the blue. Hey, what's up? And we'll talk through some stuff. He'll tell me some dialogue, and then we'll do a quick role play. And it's like these soft skills are kind of transferred, sort of like, I've had a lot of conversations, and so he's having these conversations, and then we have a little discussion about, here's how you could, you know, dive left or dive right, or ask a question, or do this, do that. And I said, now how come I'm calling you all the time? And he's like, what do you mean? And I said, why am I always calling you? He goes, well, you're so busy. I said, I set my schedule. You don't worry about my schedule. You call me. He's like, I said, I noticed you learned that too. He's been calling. He called me 3 times today. That was good. But I was like, don't worry about my schedule. I'll worry about my schedule, and I'll figure out how to make time and work it out. You know, bury me. And bottom line, though, I tell him that, and yet I'm the same way with Terry Miller. Oh, she's too busy. She has 10,000 coaches she's got to take care of. Do you know that I was $77 from a rank, global director rank, on, what was it, Sunday morning? I texted Terry, and I said, Terry, I missed it by 77. I need to figure something out. She goes, what are you doing right now? She texted me back, what are you doing right now? It's like 8 in the morning. She's in Hawaii, so it's like 6. She goes, what are you doing right now? And I go, she goes, you want to Zoom? And I was like, sure. She gets on Zoom. She goes, okay, let's figure this out. And in a half an hour, I was global director. Like, boom. And so my concept is that Terry's too busy for me until I ask. And then all of a sudden she's not. So I just want to encourage every one of you. You have a mentor, and your mentor has a mentor. And so you just reach up. You get what you need so you can go where you want to go. But that was one of the things that was, a lot of people have concepts. They say they want what Irv has, right? Irv's going crazy. What's up? I want what Irv's got. And I asked Irv, what's one of those things? How many times you talk to me? He said between 1 and 3 times a day. And I said, I wonder if everybody else is doing that wants to grow like Irv. I wonder if they're able to have the feedback that I give him. And then I show him showing up. I see him showing up. He shows up on Facebook, right? This is a really powerful thing. This is one of those soft skills. He had a client have a little bit of frustration. And during the frustration, Irv was able to ask a question. And we want to tell a little bit about, not too much of the details, but just how you redirected them and what the outcome was. Was that with Art or Ray?
His name was Sheldon.
Shelton.
Yeah. I had put up a post, a motivational post, and he came out of the blue and just started writing, and he's writing with a lot of profanity, telling me, things like, why am I doing this? Why am I so vain? I'm being too old. I'm too old for this. And I need to grow up. And I mean, he blasted me. And so I looked at the post, and I immediately got on the phone with Craig, and I asked him for feedback as to, I wanted to leave the post up for people to see, because I felt that, he's shaming me, but I was concerned that it wasn't about me as much. I was concerned about is people on the sidelines who might be afraid of coming on board because they're afraid. Their fear is being shamed the way that I'm being shamed in public. So I immediately got on with you, Craig, and said, Craig, I'm thinking about just leaving this up. And you gave me some very direct feedback that I needed to get rid of that post. And so I did, but I had a side conversation with Sheldon, and I treated him with grace. I mean, I said, you've known me for a really long time, and I've always respected you. And I reminded him that, I know his wife, Linda. I know where he lives in Apex, North Carolina. When I was going through the toughest times in my life, he was there for me. I said, now I'm trying to change my career and become a health coach. And I can't believe that you would actually go in this direction and shame me the way that you did. But no matter what you do, I'm always going to love you. You're always going to be that guy for me. And he humbled up really, really fast, and he apologized. I didn't need the apology in public, but the fact that he humiliated me, or attempted to humiliate me, he actually made me tougher. He kind of tempered things, and I think that was a good thing to see. It was a good experience to go through. But the feedback that I got from you made sense. And I actually tried to shift things and actually turn him into a health coach. So, and we may not be done with that. We may not be done with that. But there was something, and I don't know what the roots were, that caused him. It was a trigger that really brought something dark out of him. And he's not the first one. It's happened with other people. I've been inboxed, and I did get my feelings hurt once, because it was a very personal attack from some girl in Baltimore. But at the end of everything, there's a whole lot of people right now, today, the guy with the 5 heart attacks that enrolled this morning at 8 a.m., that we're reaching some people, and it's bigger than me at this point. And I thank the Lord for bringing this career to me. But there's some awesome people. I mean, I had the opportunity, once you were really busy, and I engaged with Kelly on a very tough client. I didn't know that client was going to be that challenging, and I got to see how she engaged with them. And she used a lot of grace, and she let him speak, but she was able to get her point across in a way that I watch a lot of football. She pulled a reverse on the guy. And the guy was very, I don't know, very laid back, and he's just kind of in a condescending way in the conversation. And I told Don, I said, I'm glad it was you, because if Craig was here talking to Gary would have mauled him, right? And so I don't know if he'd be a customer next. And so it was. I'm learning from it. I think it's really good for me to see how some of the seasoned coaches do things. I know about Don's background as an educator, and so there's a lot of value that comes, and I hope that I have the opportunity to work with some of the more seasoned coaches in the future to be able to pull some of those talents that they have, those strengths that they have, to help hone me, because to get to the next level here is going to take a whole lot more. Kelly has coaches. You have coaches. I have some opportunities, and I would love to be able to have that opportunity to have that cross-functional experience to see what I saw like on that week 1 celebration.
Yeah. Well, and so a couple of things, just kind of to recap. He's learning to have tough skin. Irv's learning that this isn't about him, that people come after you and they're upset because they got life. They got some stuff that happens, right? That guy, it wasn't about you, Irv. It was about some stuff that, he had. And there was another piece that recently where the guy has having trouble with his order. He wanted to cancel his order because he was doing a surgery thing and this and that. He came after Irv and was frustrated because he was on hold for 45 minutes and blah, blah, blah. And Irv just said, hey, hold on a second. Now, why did you start this in the first place? And I just saw these jujitsu skills come out of Irving, right? And he's like, well, tell me why you started this. And the guy's like, oh. And he just redirected him back to his goals and got him off of this thing of why it was so frustrating. Because it was frustrating, but being on hold for 45 minutes had nothing to do with his dreams, right? So I just love some of the things that's happening with Irv. And Irv, just the dedication you've put in. How many clients did you keep track of how many clients you put on in December?
I think it ended up being 16. Well, it was 16 for that portion of the competition.
December dash, right?
For December dash, but as far as I think it was 18 for the month.
18 for the month.
There was a couple prior to the cutoff date for the dash.
Yeah. Yeah. So he went from, I think, 8 clients to, I don't know, total of over 20, 25, something like that. Right. And so it's a lot of now our next focus, I told Irv today, I said, okay, Irv, you got a bunch of coaches or a bunch of clients, but you're doing all the support. There's coaches in there that don't know they're coaches yet because they don't know what that means. And so we started focusing today, just with a couple conversations, start evaluating. And so one of the things that I love about working with Irv is that he's teachable, right? And so I say, hey, focus on this. Take a look at that. What do you think about this? And then he does it. And then I see him showing up. Boop, 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 boop. I just see it kind of happening. And I said, we need to focus on some coaches here. And he goes, all right, well, now Daniel Ortiz, a guy we've talked to, we're in a 3-way Facebook Messenger thread. At the end of his first week, we did a Zoom. We probably did a Zoom initially because Irv was still in training. So this guy knows that there's this coaching thing that's happening. And so when Irv said, hey, why don't you come coach with me? He knew that he had an experience with coaching. So if you guys are following the program and you're doing those that week 1 celebration with your mentor and your client, the reason why you do that is so they can see that there's something bigger, and it also establishes their own personal program even more. So Irv's doing these things. The other thing I love is you tell me what happened, then you pause and you go, now, do you think could I handle that any differently? And so he just invites the feedback. and it's so easy to mentor you, or it's a privilege. So anyway, I just want to say, a rising tide raises all ships, and Irv's tide is rising, right? We have Dawn and Kelly. They're hitting some new goals. We've got Mary and Jim. They're bringing on, and Tamara bringing on their first clients. Like, it's really happening. And as some of you are achieving some personal goals. So we're all kind of rising together. Cora's like, it's day 2 of January, momentum, right? So our whole team is really kind of gathering, and it's really exciting to see what's happening here. And so I want to take just a minute, and if you have a personal breakthrough or goal that you've met, I want to stop for just a second, have you guys pop that out, tell us about that, and then I have another announcement that I want to make before we finish up. By the way, it's good to see the Ashleys back in the house tonight. Ashley squared, right? Good to see you guys. And Debbie, you've had some fun things happening with you. I heard you hit senior coach again. What's up, girl? I know you're driving, so I'll just brag on you. I loved also Tamara. She says, Irv, what are you doing? I want to do what you're doing. So I was like, okay, let's get a meeting together. So we just had a big meeting at 7, and we talked about time. Where's her Optavia time? What's she gonna? First, we have to carve the time, then we fill it with activities. So she's got a plan now to start seeing some momentum and start doing some things that'll create that. And we're just waiting for the rest of you to raise your hand, and we'll do that. We do that all day long. It's really fun to have lots of success. It's so much fun when you get these phone calls. My scale's broken. In no way could it be down that much. Oh, those are fun calls.
Hey, Craig.
Yeah. Hi, Deb.
Hey. I just wanted to say, congratulations to Irvin, because I have been watching him, and we've been kind of tagging each other, and he pays attention to my posts, and I pay attention to his. And I really appreciate that you do that for me, because I just love following certain coaches, and Irvin is amazing that he's just going to crush it. And I just wanted to say, I enjoy just being participating and watching you grow as a coach and your health. So that's
Super
it.
Good. Thanks, Deb. I don't know if you guys remember, but back in the day, I told you guys when I met Irv, it was February of last year, and I was renting a van at a car rental place, and he came walking in, and I said, I met this guy, Irving. I hope he joins us. I just had a little chat, and then we followed up. We finally got together with coffee. I immediately said, you inspire people. I want to be your Facebook friend. Are you on Facebook? And he goes, yep. And I do that probably once a year. Just so you know, that's not like a normal thing. I should do that more often. But I just said, I want to make sure this guy doesn't get away. I want to get in his life, and I want to see what he's into. So we Facebook friended each other immediately, and then met a couple times, talked, connected. It was probably about 6 or 7 times of connecting with him before he decided to join us. And so I'm just telling you guys, these things happen. You got to work the program and show up consistent. So,
hey, can I talk for a second?
Yeah. Hello, Mary.
Hey. So I've been an Optavia coach for about 3 years, and I'm starting over. So from the beginning. So today is day 4. So there's me. I did my Facebook Live on the first day of the year and got a lot of good feedback from that, and it was really scary. And after one of our globals, I think it was, I got on an airplane, a tiny little 2-seater, not 2-seaters, like 2 seats on each side, those tiny ones. with a, well, I was really glad to have her because it was a bumpy ride, and I was really in there once she was sitting down next to me, passenger friend. We talked the whole time. She kept me calm the whole time. And she's one of the reasons, like, we became friends, and she's one of the reasons that I'm still coaching. And she's not a client. However, she texts me all the time and tells me what she's doing. And we have this really healthy relationship. Healthy because it's all focused on positive and health. And I got to tell you, it was because I was brave enough to talk to her and bring it up on the plane. And those are skills that we learn in all our trainings and in these times. And so I just think, I remember being at Global with Cora, and I just love this group, and I just appreciate you guys. So thank you for inspiring me, because you're really important to me. And but thank you also for just keeping going and sharing your stories. And I'm so stoked to see Don and Kelly over there, because I remember when I went to Go Global and met you guys, and you're like, yeah, we're teachers. And one day we're going to be, and Craig was like, you guys have got to let it go. Like, you got to move, take that step. And you guys were both like, and now look at you. So congratulations. You guys are awesome. And I'm just looking forward to continuing to go down this road and be motivated and Semper Fi.
Mm-hmm. Thanks, Mary. One of the things that I've heard, I hear Alex say, he says, we're going to hold the space for you. And I'm like, what does that mean? But it's like, we're going to be here, and we're going to save a spot. We're going to save a little chair. It's like we have all these chairs, and if you're not in the chair every week, we're going to save your spot. And if you want to come back, you can come back, and I'm glad you're back, Mary. We've been saving your spot for you. We've been keeping it warm too. So you just jump back in there. So Murray's coming back, by the way. Some of you remember Murray. We just had an interview with a guy, and this guy, we had to help him off of he came over to Murray's house, and he sat down, but he couldn't get off the couch. I mean, he's like 380 pounds or something. And both of us tried to pull him up. It took all three of us to get him off the couch. And this guy said, man, I want to play a game of catch with Noah, my son. He goes, I can't play catch with my boy. Yeah. And the guy just ordered his program 2 days ago. And Murray told me, oh man, it's going to make me cry. Murray said he was doing some research, trying to get his account going again with Take Shape, with Optavia. And they asked him what his email address was. And he gave him his Vancouver Toyota email address, which was, he goes, he was halfway through giving him his email, and he stopped himself, and he goes, that's not my email. My email is healthcoachmurray@gmail.com. And he started crying when he told me this. He said, that's my real email. This other email has just been a temporary thing. Thank you for holding the space for me, Craig. I got distracted with this other thing, and I realized that this is what I want to do. And his new client's name is Jim. And he just said, I'm so excited to help Jim play catch with Noah again. It was just so powerful. So Murray, you're going to start seeing him showing up here again, and we'll tell you stories about Jim while Jim gets his life back. It's super exciting. I know we're going a little long. I've got a pretty big announcement. I've been mentoring again with Terry, and basically I've got to the point where if Terry recommends it, I'm just going to do it. And she has this saying where she says, how's that working out for you? And she said, whenever I say that, or you really think that's a good idea? When she says that, those are cues for maybe it's not a good idea. So I'm kind of dense. But she said, it's really wise if you protect people's nights. So right now, Optavia, Dr. A's got a Monday night call at 5, right? And then Tuesdays is our coach huddle. And then Wednesdays is the client support and the habits of health webinar. So if you're involved in all three of those, it's Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, right? And so we're going to be moving forward next week. We're going to be changing our health coach huddle to Monday nights. And I know that some of you, it won't work right away for. So we have a recording while you can transition whatever you need to transition to make it to Mondays. But the leadership call starts at 5, and when it ends, we're going to start our huddle. So it'll be somewhere between 5:30 and 5:40. So as soon as the leadership call is over with, we're going to pop into our huddle here, and then we'll have a discussion about what they trained on, and then we'll have a discussion about some other things. But then the nice thing about that, it's going to take me a little while to transition because my wife has her Bible study on Tuesdays. Well, I'm going to have to talk to her about moving it to Mondays. So we both work. It's going to take a little bit of time, but we want to move it there. And one of the main things is I probably listen to the leadership call live, maybe about 10% of the time. And I want to be more connected to the mothership and to what the leaders are doing. And so if we have our meeting right after the leadership meeting, there's a lot better chance that I'll listen to it. So I'm going to give you the Zoom ID for Mondays. You may have this already, but every Monday, and you can call in and just listen on the telephone, or you can tune into the Zoom meeting. But the leadership, 5 o'clock Pacific, that's 8 for you, Bessie, right? I don't know if she's here, but it's 768 210 227. 768 210 227. And you can call in, you call into the normal Zoom number, and then when it asks you for the ID, you type in that number, and then you can listen to it on the telephone if you're driving home. And then when that meeting is done around 5:30, we'll jump over here and we'll have our meeting here. And that way you can, if you do client support or do something on Tuesdays, you might need to move that to Mondays, right? But I want to incorporate one night for coach training. Wednesdays will be client support, and then you'll have those 2 days. And I think that's just a high recommendation from Jerry. And it's going to allow Betsy usually goes to bed around 8:30 because she gets up pretty early. Well, at 5:30, she'll be able to join us again. And so there'll be some people that will be able to join us, and there'll be some people that won't be able to join us, but we're going to post, I'll be posting to the podcast, the audio version to the podcast each week. So if you want to tune into Health Coach Huddle, and I'll be also putting the video recording on our Facebook page every week. So while you're transitioning, you might need to listen to these on recording, and then do what you can to move it over to there. Alex and Daniela and Diane and Kim and the rest of the gang, they meet Mondays at 5:30. So once a month, we'll pop back in with them, and we'll have an option to do that. I'm not sure we'll do that, but we'll have the option to pop in and do a big team huddle now because we'll be meeting at the same time. So that's the main big announcement. This is the change. Starting next week, it'll be Mondays. And then the other piece of the puzzle is we're going to be rolling out. I haven't got the finishing details on it, exactly the times, but we're going to be doing a power hour twice a day like we did in December, but we're going to be just for our team, just for this team. And so there'll be a mornings at 8. And then we're going to be doing an evening one. And I think the evening ones will be at 9. And we're going to try this for a short period of time that you can join a 1-hour team activity session, 8 a.m., 9 p.m. We're gonna do that here for a couple of weeks and see how that works. And I will post the details on the Optimal Health Coach page, so you'll know when we're meeting. Probably do a shared calendar. And what we do in those is we actually we have an activity. Okay, let's make 5 new friends. Ready, go. Let's start 5 conversations. Ready, go. Let's follow up. Let's make a Facebook Live post. And then let's, so there's these activities that we can do together as a team that oftentimes you don't quite get to. You don't always find the time to get to that thing. And so we're going to start doing team work groups where we get to be with these guys. All of you people here are part of my team. And so we're going to be able to do these things in the mornings and in the evenings. And so some of you guys that don't coach full time and you go to a normal job, then you can possibly tune in the evenings. And for those of you that are full-time coaches, you can choose morning or evening or both. But I noticed that Irv is showing up to a lot of those power hours, and I noticed a few of you guys do that. Debbie, you come to those regularly, but they're in the evenings, so we're going to have 2 times. So 768 210 227. That's correct. So Mary just posted that in the chat. All right, guys. Well, that's where we're at for now. And I'm excited about these changes. I think we're really going to have a strong January. And I appreciate all of you guys and all the celebrating that we've done for December. It's really been awesome to watch everything, all this fun stuff. So, all right. I think that's going to do her. So we will see you next week on Monday. All right, guys. See you later. Take care, everybody.